Hey everybody, this is Silverspook, and this is the Silverspook video about the Neofeud 2 release, which is happened. It's now out. Don't forget to go and run on down to the itch store for now and get the game. There you go. Get it on itch. Probably something's like, when is it coming to other platforms? Steam will come later, but I've mentioned that before. But for now, it is out. I'm formally calling this the soft launch. So, because I want to, as I said in previous streams, want to make sure that everything is really, really well tested and polished up to maximum degree before the more high stakes Steam release. But yeah, so don't forget to, number one, I was just gonna say it 5 times. Get the Neofeud 2 on itch. Go check it out on itch. Everyone who's really, if you're watching this YouTube video, you're probably following Silverspook games more closely. You're probably a Neofeud fan, or you're probably somebody that's like a more diehard Silverspook. I almost said acolyte. I'm not running a cult, but somebody who has like definitely been waiting for the game for a while. So those people who cannot wait any longer, because I know it's been 9 years. Been a long time. The good news is now you can finally get it, and all those videos that I made over the last 2 months, which is basically like, Neofeud's coming in the next 2 months, Neofeud's coming in the next month, Neofeud's coming in the next few weeks, Neofeud's coming next week, Neofeud's coming this week. So I just wanted to make sure that I don't retrospectively look like a complete liar, even though Neofeud came out on April Fool's Day, which is hilarious. Or maybe it's not funny because people are like, that can't be real. I'm not going to the itch site. This is a joke, right? But I didn't intend for Neofeud to be released on April Fool's Day, but it was this is how it was. I said I wanted to get it done by the end of March, but I said I was going to release it in March. So I was trying to release it on March 31st. I was trying to release it before March 31st, and then I was trying to release it on March 31st. And I basically haven't had any sleep in the last 7 days, or very minimal sleep. So it's going to be a little bit loopy, because partially it was trying to not doing crunch, but just trying to meet deadlines that I have set for myself. Nobody else set it for me. That's the thing when you're an indie game dev cooperative with no CEOs, no quadruple pieces of unmentionable material that's running you, then you only have yourself to blame for forcing you to work harder. You only have your own healthy or unhealthy levels of workaholism to blame, or just simply like needing to meet deadlines. That's just what it is. I just partially is because because it has taken 9 years. I really just I wanted to set a hard limit for myself, because the other thing is I could also expand the scope, and I cannot allow these are like various cyber brain mental health orders or disorders, depending on how you look at it, including delusions of grandeur, overscoping, obsessive compulsive, neurotic, infinite re-editing and modification of scenes, hyper focusing on minute details nobody is ever going to notice in backgrounds, and like the shade of characters, like zygomatic cheekbones, and oh my gosh, that lip is just 1 nanometer thicker on the left side than the right side. I have to re-edit that for the next 2 hours. Like I'm not even actually joking about that. So I have to. So one way to counter that is I combat one mental health disorder with the other one. So I say let's. Executive brain says, okay, people. I put a cigar in my mouth. I get my $60,000 suit out and I put it on. I'm just joking. I don't have anything that expensive. And I go, okay, now it's time for y'all to get this game out so that I can get my Christmas bonus and buy another 6 mansions, and then you can all go and be fired. And then the other parts of my brain go, oh my gosh, we really got to crunch for our boss that we love so much because we just love capitalism so much, and we just love working and giving all of our labor value over to our exploiters. I just watched Sam Raimi's horror man's Aurora, Send Help, which is all about that overworked employee, female employee being exploited by patriarchal dickhead boss. Anyway, long story short, so I was like, I gotta get this game done. And so then that's what I did. And so now I'm gonna be a little bit odd on this video, and that's just how it is. Also, I literally caused like tectonic earthquakes inside my toe. And I was like, how does that come? You've seen the Ashton Kutcher. I mean, don't watch Ashton Kutcher movies because he's a piece of garbage and he works for the CIA. But you've seen the Ashton Kutcher film, The Butterfly Effect. Trying to finish a retro cyberpunk indie game that lives up to the greatest game on cyberpunk game on Steam. That's not my quotes. When you just try to make a sequel to your game that is it causes your toe to explode. That's just how it is. It's a butterfly effect. A butterfly flapping its wings in Iran can cause the collapse of a global imperial hegemonic empire and 500 years of global injustice, called colonial capitalism. It just happens sometimes. Some hot take from an IRGC general, and it just like it drops a global omnicidal plutocracy to its knees. It's just how it works. Anyways, trying to open up my chat. Yeah, I'm trying to do dev Q&A. If people have questions. One question I got several times already is it coming to Steam? Yes, it's coming to Steam. When is it coming to Steam? I'm working on a Steam release right now. So whenever I estimate in the next month, 2 months. Neofeud 1 was released on itch in March. I believe it was March 24 or 25, 2017. The Neofeud 1 Steam release was, I believe, September 19th, 2017. It was about April, May, June, July, August, September. About 6 months between Neofeud 1 and 2. I don't estimate it will take that long to release Neofeud 2 to Steam, but I cannot give you a solid date because it's basically like I want as I said, I want Neofeud 2 to have basically. Because when you release to Steam, as I've said many times, it's very high stakes. How well the game does in the first minute, half an hour, and day can mean the difference between 5 sales and like 5 million sales. I'm not even joking. Like it's really make or break on that platform. There's like 60 games or 40, 60 games, huge numbers of games come out every single day on that. And there's a huge number of people that play it on Steam. Like there's just like I can say like from my own statistics of the Neofeud itch and Steam analytics, Steam is at least a magnitude like 10 times more total purchasers, players on that platform, if not more. That's just how it is. It's just how it is. There's other platforms. Some people ask about GOG. I'm like, I tried to get Neofeud on GOG. I don't have time to. There's a lot of hoops and things to jump through on there, and I'm already overscoped. I'm like one person doing all this work, and so I gotta put certain things down, and not do other things. I wish I could have done more promotion for the Neofeud itch release, but if I did promotion, you might not never have a Neofeud. I'm doing a lot of promotion for Neofeud 1. I gotta promote Neofeud 1. I gotta do all this other stuff. I gotta bug check and finalize Neofeud. It's just like that's I mean, what is promotion even nowadays? I don't know. That's one thing I was thinking. I was talking to Holly about that. I was like, what does it mean to promote, market, and what does it mean to do the business end, to promote the visibility is like one of the hardest things actually to deal with in modern reality and modern art, entertainment, and games is a subsection of that. So I'm like, what even is that? That's something I've been really thinking about now. Now that Neofeud 2 is I'm not, it's not like the big, it's not the Steam release. So that's gonna be, I'm gonna do even more promotion for that. I told people that, like our friends Mexi and American Johnson, Luna Oi, and a bunch of the voice actors, and part of the promotion is connecting with all these creators. Like I know a whole bunch of content creators, more like left-leaning ones, more like adventure game specific ones, gaming, cyberpunk specific ones. And I was like, yeah, content creators includes journalists now. That's something I was thinking of. I was talking through it with how, what should I be doing right now? Because YouTube video creators like Markiplier is obviously a content creator. YouTube video makers, let's players, video essay makers, Twitchers, like Twitch streamers, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky accounts. These are all like people that are, I really don't like that term, but like it's all like stuff people are putting out. And journalists put out content. It's here's articles or video, text, or etc. material I've put out. Right, it's all just content creation. So yeah. Anyway, if you write for like PC Gamer or Rock Paper Shotgun, I don't know do these websites even exist anymore? I don't know. IGN. I don't know. I remember when I first released Neofeud 1, this guy was this person that was graciously helping me to promote Neofeud 1 gave me this long list of all of these. It suggested this is what I should do. Give me like 2,000, like a Excel spreadsheet of 2,000 separate journalists from Rock Paper Shotgun, IGN, Kotaku, Polygon, like multiple journalists at every single site. That this person was like in charge of marketing and communications for a decently large, like I think it was European game platform. And so the job was to, make sure people discovered and connected with that platform, right? Signed up for it. So I spent like 2 weeks just like emailing so many people. I don't know what the situation is now because AI didn't exist at the time. This was pre COVID. This was 2017. That was like basically a decade ago. So anyway, let me look at the chat. Hey, what's up, Colin? Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I'm just it's just like I put up a YouTube video every week, and now it's just like the game's out. I did a Twitch stream on Wednesday that the Neofeud is released. I'm planning more and bigger events with other. I'm doing another voice actor, Neofeud 2 voice actor. I think I already did too, but it's like a lot of the people that I work with have been voice actors. So I'm planning another but a lot of the Neofeud 2 voice actors are content creators. So like American Johnson and Luna Oi are both like fairly sizable, and EJ in particular is like definitely, his audience definitely is a lot of people that would play Neofeud 2. When I went on his YouTube channel and collaborated with him to talk about Neofeud 1, there was like 500 people bought the game that same day. Like, so it's like definitely like, because that's one thing is like you can get Markiplier to play a game. Actually, Markiplier or a big YouTuber like that plays the game. That's gonna be, it's a large reach. It's not quite as targeted as like specifically like retro indie nerdy sci-fi cyberpunk adventure games targeted a little more towards millennial age people rather than Gen Z or Alpha per se. Not that you can't play it, or you can't play it if you're Gen X or something, but like it's really gonna hit the most if people that are approximately in my age range. I'm at 43, right? So that's gonna be like the maximum Neofeud 2 excitement, getting all the many vast quantity of references, jokes, satire, material, content, just the social political commentary. There's a particular range that's like strongly that, and so content creators that will really, the Venn diagram of like things in Neofeud 2 and think people that will like that, it's kind of like it's like the how targeting the visibility is. I feel like for friends like EJ, and then we have others, actually all of the YouTubers that I'm friends with, it's pretty well targeted. Mexi is another one. Mexi and American Johnson and Luna Oi and we got a bunch of those are like the bigger ones, and I'm also looking at collaborating with them on some other projects. They graciously voice acted for Neofeud 2, and I'm gonna voice act for some American Johnson non-compete projects. It seems like there's a good chance of that. Amongst other things, obviously I've collaborated with our comrade Luna Oi several times in the past too, for anti-imperial, anti-colonial discussions. Anyways, yeah. So I just took like an hour nap because I woke up. My sleep schedule is really weird right now because it's like I don't know why exactly it is, but partially I've been like staying up till like I've been working all day and staying up till 3 to finish this game, and then I have to stand while I work because I'm disabled and my body has fucked up problems, and I don't want to be on fentanyl and like die early from Safenol. I mean, I've created this. There's in this Neofeud 2, there's a thing called Safenol, right? Which is it's like fentanyl but safe, because the United States government and pharmaceutical companies said so, and we believe them because we're very smart Westerners. But I don't want to be on fentanyl and overdose on fentanyl. So I just experience pain all the time. Tylenol and ibuprofen help me out, but it's actually like that's actually one of the things I've been trying to do. Is just trying to. I've been standing so much. It's one thing that's like caused like weird things happen in my foot and my toe. So it's been that's like for the postmortem devlog. Note to self. There's not really, I don't know. It's not really. It's just kind of like. I think everybody's gonna experience that, like just getting old is rough, like Carl Carbon has a malfunctioning right hand hype tech cyber arm, right, where his my cyber arm is glitching out again and almost caused a car crash. I mean, it's lowering my workplace productivity. So, boss, can you please, can I get some cyber mecha refurb care? From my employer-based insurance, and is that possible? And the boss is like, no, just if you die in a car crash, we'll just hire someone else. And so Carl Carbon deals with being disabled under a capitalist, uncaring corporate system, yeah. It's similarly. I mean, it's like people are gonna get increasingly disabled one way or the other as they get older, but we gotta watch. That's one thing because I used to work really hard on things. It's not actually beneficial to do too much of that though. It increases the number of errors that go into the code. So ideally, I would not. I mean, most of the time working Neofeud, I'm not working at that rate. Like it just kind of. Just briefly to meet the deadlines, and partially it's to meet deadlines. Is also when I'm working on a part of a game, I want to get everything I'm working on done before it leaves my head. Because like I said, that's another thing for the postmortem, which is that like the human brain has limited total amount of RAM and ROM, and there's a limited amount of material I can handle at one time, and that's one of the overscoping things that I've definitely done. I'm like, this game is so vast and so large, and and also one person maintaining these vast the Neofeud 2 story is 700 pages, right? The entire world building is bigger than that. Neofeud 1, it was I don't know, it was 2,000 pages or something like that. So the worlds are vast. They're vast worlds. It's I know I'm not the biggest necessarily just Tolkien fan, but I remember him how the descriptions of his workspace being just hurricane of papers everywhere. William Burroughs, he was also had a lot of other problems, mental health and drug problems, and also shooting one's wife problems, and that's really messed up. And he also had a hurricane of writing surrounding him, and I have various, Celsius and Rain sour gummy worm 300 milligrams of caffeine energy drinks strewn around me. I strew mostly soda cans. I strew soda cans and Luna Oi historical materialism textbooks of the Vietnamese Marxist-Leninist curriculum around me. I'm not joking. I have two of them right in front of me. And old guitar pedals. But inside my computer space, I have this hurricane of story and lore. And that somehow worked on Neofeud 1. And I've been writing like that for a long time. I used to ghost write science fiction for trillionaires. No, not trillionaires, but the people who, have the unfortunate circumstance of being too wealthy and too privileged to ever become good at anything. And so they pay other people that were too poor to not become good at things, such as science fiction writing, to write for them. So anyway, so when I was, what was I going? Oh yeah, so I've been writing a lot for a long time, and also been making video games for a long time, and also programming. I've been doing art for actually the least amount of time is art. So I'm most worried always about the art stuff. But I feel like concerned about that. It's part of why I like hyper edit things too much. Hyper just redo and redo and redo and redo and repolish the same thing a little too much. I also do that with writing. Every time I open up Neofeud 2's game files, I'll just go and re-edit whatever I'm working on. I'm just re-editing that's common for writers though. Like I remember my friend Dr. Chris, who is also a published novelist and university level Duke Press alumni of Duke, the Duke College. It just put out a book, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Dr. Chris, Open World Empire. I actually did the art for and contributed some. I think it was basically art and some to some of his previous books. Open World Empire. There's a game that's actually about video games. It's a book about video games. I'm sorry. That is called Of Floating Islands, right? Is it Of Floating Isles? I should probably go look it up. It has Neofeud in it. It has I made the cover for it, and it has Neofeud inside of it as well. So, and long story short, writing is a thing where I'm also constantly re-editing and fixing and reworking things, questioning whether that was good enough or it's how it's going to be received. So, that's something for the postmortem. I don't think that's really. I don't know what to really do about that kind of stuff. It's just kind of like, it's part of the creative process, Not luckily for Gen Z and Alpha, and for certain Gen X and Boomers, they won't ever know what a creative process is, right? Because they're just gonna be a monkey at a typewriter, right? Slapping a universal library of Babelification, right? In agnotology generator, right? They're called generative AI. Wastes of 7 nanometer, 2 nanometer, 1 nanometer, and smaller chips and electricity, right? And people just generate their videos and video games and writing, right, for the foreseeable future. So nobody will know what it's like to actually become good and skilled and produce quality work ever again. They'll just consume slop forever, right? No, I'm just kidding. There is no AI used in Neofeud or Neofeud 2. Well, Neofeud 1 was obviously made before AI. Gen AI was accessible, and Neofeud 2. I know that's definitely something that's on the front. I was just watching a very interesting video with Warwick Powell discussing thermoeconomics and how Gen AI is can produce collapses in information systems where energy. And that I've been thinking a lot about that as well, where energy that's being produced, the energy that is being transformed, that moves all of reality forward. And obviously, the planet's biosphere and ecosystems within it, and the various flora and fauna, including the fauna that is the human species, the Homo sapiens, right? And then our lives, our existences forward as we're processing energy, and we're matter moving through time, right? And space, and Gen AI, right? But we need the we're always in a battle against the infinite unwinding of entropy, right? We're trying to wind together, right? We're like deoxyribonucleic code that's trying to keep its spiraling inward, right, through thermodynamic energy matter processing, rather than spiraling out into entropy, right, into that these like opposing forces, right, of organization and disorganization, or as things move forward through time, right? And so, but Gen AI and artificial intelligence takes energy, right? I think estimates could be up to 12% of the entire United States electrical output soon, and then it's taking the energy, or a lot of it is oil-rich, now inflames Gulf states energy output, like Stargate AI, which Iran has revealed is at a very specific GPS location that they have shared, that was supposed to be hidden. You can't find it technically you can't find it on Google Maps, but that's the problem with you assuming that there's only one hegemon that's controlling all energy and all matter, when there isn't. This alternate like the Beidou satellite and global positional and locational systems afoot. So anyway, long story short, but Gen AI is taking the energy that could lead to maintaining the balance of organization against the disorganization of the human species, and all of our lives, including our art, including our games that are like superstructure on top of the processing of the matter and energy. This is like the 1800s, post-enlightenment thinking about human society, political reality, economic reality that Marx was part of. And Adam Smith was also a part of all that. Fundamental thinking, like dialectical materialism itself, harkens back to the discoveries about matter, energy themselves, right? And the how these fundamental systems work, like electricity, right? The dynamo from back in the Tesla, not today's Tesla, which is an agnotological net entropic, or net disorganizational, net chaotic, right? It's chaotic evil entity, right? Causes chaos and produces billionaires that beat up their workforces and are complicit in global war crimes, right? Such as assisting with locational, material, and Starlink systems, the overthrow of legitimate countries, and the bombing of innocent people, just as one. Chaotic evil of modern Tesla. But the original Tesla, the scientist that was working on the properties of thermodynamics and how, electrons, or, what we now know as electrons, how these forces that are within lightning bolts, right? And the wires within humans and frogs, right, that can transmit, how they can generate these currents, this something that is causing the muscles to contract, right? Nerves that have electricity within them. So all those discoveries, right, were happening, and that was a lot of the process of figuring out, but the same way that electricity, right, or like gravity, electricity, wind currents, ocean currents, basic biology, like the metabolism of plant cells, photosynthesis, right? The chemical bonds being broken that causes your consumed carbohydrates and fats to turn into human muscle energy, and the several pound muscle that's not being used because of AI outsourced, that itself is suffering entropy because of the lack of critical thinking. Most high school and college students use Gen AI to do their work. You're right. The processing of energy, right, is what is actually happening. It's either happening or it's not happening, and it doesn't have to happen any particular way. And all the cult. I think I was talking about on the Twitch stream. the cultural, the political, economic, and the various, west, east, south, north, and historical paradigms and like descriptions and framings, right? The super sometimes might be described as, variously as a superstructure. Like all that social, political, economic reality is just layered on top of the fundamental, physical reality, right? That comes into conflict in a financial crash, right? Where the hyper represented, Goldman Sachs high frequency trading algorithms that are spewing out contracts, like the Gen AI Ponzi schemes that are obligations to credit default swap obligations, right? That are based upon, these dreams inside of these non-dreams inside of giant football field size servers, right, that are just churning out Wall Street stock numbers and processing all these requests that themselves are all humans trying to lay claim, right, through stocks, through bonds, to other people's and to the world's energy, human energy, electricity, oil, right? The global oil price, all those things are all like representations. But all that hits the reality is there energy or is there not, right? If you don't have the energy, well, then then the United States doesn't have any capacity to get, or South Korea or Japan doesn't have the capacity to get its trucks and its food from its places of origin, the farms, to its stores, right? It doesn't have the ability to get its jets to its bombing sites to unalive people to maintain a global unjust empire, right? Based on war crimes. Either you have the jets or you don't, right? Either you have the hypersonics or you don't. Either you have the Beidou hyper advanced surpassing GPS satellite network or you don't, right? You have the constellation of these many satellites and the capacity to operate them proficiently or you don't, right? You can talk about, you can lie, you can discuss. The West can print, like in Neofeud 2, there's a saying, King Warren Clinton Bush, says, I think in the beginning, we print the truth same as we print money. The masses will keep calm and stick to the program as long as we deal with the deprogrammers, right? And so that's like one aspect of the Neofeud 2, which is kind of like a conflict. Neofeud 1 is the social stratification within a feudal capitalist colonial, like a reality where kings and CEOs are appropriately described as the same thing, as opposed to the agnotology, the disinformational Western non-reality, right, in which the consensus reality is that feudalism is over and injustice and tyranny is done, and now we live in America, now we live in Australia, now we live in Europe, where we are upright, upstanding, just, rules-based orders that promote democracy, freedom, human rights, and we are, right, thusly deserving of all energy and all matter and all human and energy and labor and matter and labor value because of that, right? But that's what the thesis of Neofeud, if there is one, that's one major one, is that there was never an ending in the late 1700s of an unjust system and the beginning of a moral, good, just one after that in the Western liberal capitalist democracy. That whole thing is a lie. That's a major part. And it's about the social stratification that continues to exist inside of places like the United States, which has techno kings and billionaires and false, non-existent plutocracies feigning as democracies, and manages the entire planet with death, destruction, and under the boot heel that stomps on the global majority's face forever, and also stomps on its own, to a lesser extent, its own domestic populations forever as well, or not so much forever. Iran begs to differ. The Primarkov, as I think a Brazilian journalist calls it, the Primarkov of the RIC, members of BRICS, begs to differ. But that's Neofeud. It's about the stratification of this human society. And Neofeud 2 is more about like the conflicts I was just writing it. I was trying to like, what is the description of it? And actually, let me pull it up right now, because this is I promise I'll come back to the chat, but let me just finish this one point, because I was just working on like, how do I describe Neofeud 2? Because I'm working. That's one thing I'm gonna work on, the game descriptions for itch and then also for Steam. But like one thing, I was like, how do I describe the soundtrack? And that's where I started thinking about like, how do I describe, which is also out by the way on itch. The Neofeud soundtrack, which is 33 tracks and 2.5 hours of music. It was composed by myself, of course, and the one person developer of Neofeud 2. So I composed all the music. I wrote the story. I created all the art and did about half the voice acting. In Neofeud 1, I did about 1/3 the voice acting, I would say, in Neofeud 2, and half the voice acting in Neofeud 1, approximately. But I was thinking, like, well, how do I describe it? And how do I describe Neofeud 2? What is this game? Like, what is it? And I had the same problem with Neofeud 1 too. Like, what exactly is this? But that's a short description. But Neofeud 2 is, mournful Blade Runner-esque synthscapes awash in 80s 8-bit nostalgia, soaring sci-fi epics of bright new worlds, machine raging rock and incendiary industrial. The Neofeud 2 soundtrack reflects the struggles between and within societies of the game itself. So another way to think about Neofeud 2 is it's also what's the difference between Neofeud 1 and 2? Neofeud 1 is about the social, economic, and political injustices inherent within the system, that has relabeled itself as Western, liberal, democratic, rules-based order at all. They keep another thing with Neofeud 2 is there's a perpetual rebranding of unjust systems of the modern American Western or kind. They keep on creating new decolonial, but actually still colonial universities, right? That are complicit in mass war crimes, right, and a global empire, right? That's a new branding, right? It's there's a book by Gabriel Rocco called Western Marxism, right? That was on Black Liberation Media talking about it. So that's a rebranding. It's a Marx washed anti-Marxism, right? You have decolonial washed pro-colonialism, right? And so that's Neofeud 2 is how there's a perpetual. Neofeud 1 and 2 both deal with the perpetual, right? Perpetual infinite layers of cloaking of reality, of the disinformational, unjust U.S. like nexus system. It's not just a U.S. problem, but like Western focused systems, right? And how they perpetually recreate and rebrand and restructure and hide themselves in the disinformation itself. But the disinformation is also a problem when it comes to, right, the human, the undergirding physical reality, right? The nitty gritty of existence, which is energy and matter, right? And the disinformation, you require, if you have vast quantities of energy and matter, like if you control the global petrol, if your petrodollar can strangle the global thermodynamics, right? Then you can use that to churn out. That's what the last 7 years of the U.S. Led order, right? The so-called Pax, I call it the POX Americana, but as a native client under U.S. imperial capitalist occupation, which also American mandatory high school liberal New York reading authors such as Kurt Vonnegut, Rex of Champions, specifically called that out, by the way, when he said the Hawaiians should simply attach themselves to helium-filled balloons and float in the air, and then America will treat them justly and not displace them all with golf courses and military bases. That he literally wrote that in Breakfast of Champions. So shout out to Kurt Vonnegut speaking the truth when the baby boom, we're all moral now, rebranding of the West was happening vis-a-vis the United States, hegemony, the Maston neo-colonial hegemony that is structured after World War II. Anyway, so so then like there's a perpetual, but the ability to rebrand yourself, right, and to fill the world with disinformation, where America is saving Vietnam, America is saving Iran right now, right? All of that requires vast. You have to have massive, overwhelming control over energy and matter and the key minerals, etc., that goes into all the undergirding superstructure, right? That's what the military has to keep bombing, no matter what they say about how moral. That was the Western order was propagating mass agnotology at the greatest scale, right? Because before, the colonial order didn't really spend that much effort in that. They just said, well, the British are better than you. That's why we take control of India. As Winston Churchill said, I do not apologize what has happened to the red man, the Palestinian, the African, or any of the other races. Social Darwinism, we are a better race. So that doesn't take a lot of energy, right? Now that's also disinformation. It's not true, but it's just like, this is how mask off unjust imperial and mask off systems require less total effort placed into disinformation, right? But in the disinformation, right? Because you just might simple might makes right. It's actually, I think that's actually partially why the Trumpian, Marco Rubian, neo 1800s, neo McKinleyite agenda, right? We're simply going to take the Western Hemisphere, and we're not going to spend time trying to make USAID and NEDs that do all these intellectual acrobatics to make it seem like we're assisting other countries, right? We're not going to spend time on human rights discussion. We don't care about human rights. We're taking the resources because the ability to sustain it, because there is a winding down of the empire. They don't have the extra resources. Partially it's just the more hard conservative end of the liberal conservative unjust order. The plutocracy is coming more into the fore now. But there's a limited resources, and you cannot pretend like you're still on top of the world when you have countries like China that are obviously surpassing you technologically, militarily, and even in soft power and economically, absolutely, right? So you can't even pretend like in the 1960s, 70s, 90s, 2000s that you're more moral, because it takes all this energy to force it into having your entire Western population churning out Reuters articles, churning out. Right, the CIA's jukebox is energy intensive. The AI generated CIA jukebox is even more energy intensive. It takes like 12% of the entire U.S. power grid, dude, just to churn out. What return on investment are you going to get from that exactly? Right, and so that's right. So in that sense, so now we have to go to just direct military attacks to maintain a global imperial capitalist colonial system, because we don't have the energy. We don't have the power. Like, I'm sorry, Captain, I just don't have the power to keep the empire going with this. We're good, and then spending everyone's labor value in the West, right, to convince the world that we're good while we're actually bad. So we're just going to be bad, and it takes less. Everyone sign up for U.S. military, and we're going to invade Iran with 2 million Americans. Let's go. You see how that takes? It takes. Stop writing New York Times articles about why China is violating Uyghur human rights, or something that Russia is committing this crisis in Ukraine. We don't care about him. That is wasted energy. Put down your New York computer, put down your phone, and get in this airplane and go into Iran and kill people now. Do you see what's happening? Because the ability to process energy. I'm not saying everybody in New York is going to all be forced into a draft, and every American is going to die in the Strait of Hormuz, not getting airdrop because the plane gets shot down by advanced Russia, Chinese, Iranian, defense systems that make America look like the Stone Age. Iran just said, the United States, when Persia, Iran had civilization over 2,000 years ago. America didn't even exist, and America's predecessors were still in their Stone Age. They were all barbarians over there. Iran has the best burn. I mean, you cannot compete. You cannot compete. Even Western liberals are like, what? That's also part of the right. The thermodynamic underpinnings, right? Is if you don't have the energy, if you don't have the physical industrial production, right? You don't have, right? This is why it always will come down to a war, no matter if it's liberal mask on or conservative mask off empire. It's always going to come because you have to keep cornering and maintaining the monopoly on the thermodynamic underpinnings, right? The physical electrons and atoms. You have to control the energy. If you don't control the energy, you don't have any liberal or conservative empire, you don't have any energy to try one or the other tactic, liberal or conservative, global unjust, mass war crime based disorder. So that's why the conservatives like we gotta put that liberal stuff down. We gotta get the energy. We gotta stop these other countries from getting out from our thumb. We gotta control the Venezuela. It's not a very good strategy, but there is no liberal strategy. It's also like the liberal strategy is supposed to take the surplus oil, lithium, and semiconductors that we're stealing from everyone else under global imperialism for the Fortune 500 and for the global oligarchy, and we're supposed to turn that into leverage. But if the liberal is by saying, right, the platitudes and putting out the platitudes, we're moral, we're good, and they're evil and bad. China is bad, China bad, China bad, like China bad, China bad, China bad, Russia bad, Russia bad, Russia bad, Iran bad, Iran bad, Iran bad. And that's going to have return on investment. We're going to keep our empire going because enough people will be convinced that of that, and that will cause people to keep working for us, and we'll keep sucking the ground hard reality. We will have the global Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America's resources on our side because we look more moral than everyone else, and people can be pushed into working against Russia, China, Iran, etc. Non-U.S. empire circle interests, and so we'll keep cornering the world, and we'll just balkanize Russia and China, and then once we run out of enemies, then we'll just keep pretending that we're moral forever, but being immoral. Or the conservatives say, well, now we'll take the mask off, and we'll just be immoral, right? Until we have a competitor. If something like Russia, China, if something like Soviet Union or Chinese Communist Party or Iranian Revolution arise again, then we'll go back to pretending to be liberal, so that we can win a global competition over the human mind and the human collective, right? But after the late teens and early 2020s, like remember all the China bad articles in left, right, and center media, all the Russia bad articles. I mean, whatever you think about Russia, none of these countries are perfect, but like there's a perpetual constant mountains of articles about those other countries, and not to mention Islamophobia, xenophobia, anti-Asianness, anti-blackness is perpetual all in various ways to justify infinite invasions and incursions and maintaining control and propping up unjust regimes, right? Talking about authoritarianism while backing the Saudis, backing all the Gulf monarchies, being close buddy, all Democrats and Republicans close buddy with all those. So then, anyway. I'm not talking about Neofeud 2 at this moment, but it's kind of like, but the ability to maintain all of that empire, all the energy expended to go into propagandizing everyone that we are moral and the others that are not part of the U.S. Western order are immoral and bad and must be stopped, right? That the liberals have been pushing. The Blinkenite Biden administration for sure was part of that. That energy is not paying back, and particularly when the Palestinian resistance with the assistance of China, that's one the technological loss. If the United States could maintain control over global narrative and mind control, right, which is the most important, I would say, which controls human bodies and human labor, ultimately, right? But they lost that when the Chinese Beidou satellite network, along with the Huawei Mate 50 and the Chinese networks and the Chinese TikTok, right, got the truth out, and it broke the U.S.-Israel narrative on what was happening in Palestine. And then so it took the liberals' tactic to say, we're moral and we're good, and 90% of the planet, including many people in their own countries, and like definitely 35 and under, even in the Western, global North, and definitely the billions of people in Africa, the Arab world, the Muslim world, the Asian world, everyone was whatever they thought before, massively was turned against because the West couldn't take the energy and take the liberal energy and turn it into successful mind control, right? And so it all backfired. That's part of why the oligarchy is saying we're not going to put liberals back in, and then the No Kings is not working out too well. It's because that strategy of trying to be the Malcolm X's Fox, we're moral and we're good, and then give people a hug and stab in the back, that only works if you can convince other people that you are good. Not that you are good, but you have to be able to lie convincingly. And the ability to lie convincingly, right, it's actually being collapsed because the West has been outcompeted. by socialism with Chinese characteristics in the multipolar world. I mean, that's just, China particularly. They have better technology. I was just watching Jeremiah, that's just like, how do you think, there's a line where it's Jeremiah is this TV show starring Luke Perry. There's a line where this general, right, it's the remains of the U.S. government, and this general, 4-star general, says the U.S. government has basically killed the entire planet, giving them all catastrophic, basically like the T virus from Resident Evil, and it killed everyone, and because they need to control the world, and they are having trouble, and so he says, like, how do you think the British controlled huge countries like India for centuries, right? There's a tiny number of people there. Right, but all what you need is a technological edge, and you have to use it and instill fear. You have to. And he uses a German word for the German word that means frightfulness. Right, you have to have and weaponize that, and if you can do that, or also brainwash them, then you can control with a tiny number of people vast continents, right? And so it's either with fear or with false promises and false narratives, right? And so the United States is unable to do that. Anyway, so long story short, so Neofeud 2 is a story that's about like there's conflicts between the liberal and the conservative methods of maintaining empire. There's conflict between civilizations, right? There's conflict between or the struggles between billion-year-old indigenous socialist civilizations, right, that have infinite energy and have warp travel, and they maintain a more or less stable society that processes energy without misallocating resources to unjust hierarchical oligarchic structures that then form like cancerous nodes and push the entire countries and entire human societies into catastrophically bad and unjust and just suffering-inducing situations, like the Greek oligarchies, like the Roman Empire, like the American Empire, like the colonial system, like the Gulf monarchies, like Central South American comprador countries, right? Obviously fascists inside of Europe, but also fascism globally, which is just colonialism. And so that, which is all controlled from a small number of people, right? Disinforming, right? A small number of people, this civilizational cancer that is controlling the minds and the bodies and the energy and the thermodynamics of everyone else. And so the West is that system that's struggling today, obviously, against struggles to create a win-win multipolar system where people are based upon information, right? Mass distribution of information, not 100% true, but like the best, truest information that we have, versus a Western imperial capitalist colonial situation, which, as the British said, they did say that we have to, and the CIA repeated it, right? The general described the British talking about themselves several centuries ago. We have to make sure that everyone believes what is false, which is that we are superior and that we can kill and control you all. The reality is that at any time, the global majority, Africa, Asia, Latin America, could have risen up in 500 years and taken back control. But by controlling the minds, by disinforming, that's where school and education is super important in this. That's another important theme of like Neofeud 2, which is how people are brought up. That's what produces that's what maintains the reproduction of unjust human societies, right? And then not perfect, but more or less just if they're functioning well, right? From the commanding heights in the Marxist sense, civilizations of various kinds. Some have Chinese characteristics, some have Cuban characteristics, right? All of them are trying to be strangled by the United States and being embargoed, right? And starved to death, right? Russia and China are bringing energy, right? China's bringing solar energy because they have abundance of that, and Russia's bringing oil energy because they have abundance of that, and they're going to keep Cuba afloat a little longer, right? And then the United States, of course, is trying to starve and kill everyone, just like they're killing innocent people, blowing up schools in Iran. As the West has always been doing, never stopped. So but that struggle between those two, like forms of methods of and structures from the top to bottom of organizing human civilization, right, is a major part of Neofeud 2. But then also struggles within a Western imperial capitalist system. The main character of Neofeud 2 is in one sense, it's just a silly cyberpunk, tongue-in-cheek, comedic game. The main character is a colonial marine, a robotic sentient machine colonial marine turned go-go dancer. So he's like a sex worker, right? He worked at Michael Chippendale's, dancing to a science fictional send up of you're better off alone, to robophiliacs, and he's living in his car, and so the internal struggle is like he has struggled to trying to deal with what he has done for his empire. He struggled to just survive. He encounters other people that are trying to fight from the bottom of their society upwards. Right? There's hacktivist, communist, radical, green-haired goth chicks that are also refugees, right? That he has helped of countries that he has helped to destroy and bomb, and that's a whole dynamic as well, which is the refugee versus the Western American citizen, right, or Western European citizen or whatever, right? And so then that dynamic, and so there's internal struggles between them. There's the struggles to overthrow their unjust oligarchy. Some of the characters think that it's not an oligarchy. Once we vote out the Republicans, Utopia, right? Obviously, a stand-in for a Western country like America. Utopia will be fine once we have better controllers. And people say, well, it's not democratic because look at all the lies that they tell. And then one opinion is, well, people are not smart enough to effectively govern themselves. The average person is quite foolish, and that's why we need democratic, liberal, Harvard-educated, like Princeton-educated, wise jet setters to govern the unwashed, uneducated masses, especially the Republicans. These people are all rednecks. These people are all illiterate. These people, they believe in Jesus and and their guns and they're anti-gay, and I'm not saying that's good, but I'm saying and many of our own, there are very well-meaning, people in New York City. But they're also crass and unwashed masses, and they're fool. They're like we know what they need. They don't know what they need. They don't have Oxbridge or Cambridge educations. I mean, we have to make the hard decisions, and the smart decisions. And the average person is not smart enough. Like pets or cattle, they're not smart enough to effectively govern themselves. They can build our buildings, they can work in our restaurants, they can serve our food, and they're very well spoken, some of them, just like Barack Obama. They're very well spoken, some of these these citizens of the world, that we need to control. But, and if we don't vote for us, there's conservatives over there, the Republicans, and that's a disaster, and so that's one of the internal struggles is between the masses and their liberal oppressors, the masses inside their countries and their conservative oppressors that just want to gun them all down and murder them all, just like in Street Trash, or in Neofeud 1, there's just massacres too. All right, actually, before Neofeud 1, Silver Spook is a character who underwent the Earth massacres of basically most of the human population, most of the sentient population was just wiped out because the elite said we can't control the world, we just kill everyone, right? And so Silver Spook died. The character in Terminus Machina is makes an appearance, and so there's there's also the struggle to, if you fail the revolution, maybe everyone just dies, right? And so there's that. So that's another, there's an internal struggle with the Silver Spook. Is am I leading everyone? Am I leading all of you into your own doom? And some people are well, even if we're doomed to fail, we have to struggle anyway, even if it's difficult, and we could lose our jobs at university. We could lose our jobs at the corporation. We won't become successful YouTubers. We won't be able to AI generate thumbnails to chase the algorithmic juju and become celebrities and actors on Netflix original series like in Critical Role. If we right, if we speak out too loudly against empire, but we have to keep fighting because it's what's right. Right. And other people are well, I don't really, I just want to live my life, and what's right can go and die with the communists that all died in Indonesia, a century ago. I mean, I don't want to touch that revolutionary stuff because, I just like my life. I'll be an immoral, air conditioned and Netflix enjoyer. I'll just be immoral. Right. Who cares about right? Might makes right. Might makes right. And at least we have nicer, mighty people around. Rather than those mean people, they're very uncivil when they make their. When Pete Hegseth might makes right, he says gross things. I don't like that when he says those gross things. Like he says things like, what did Pete Hegseth say? He said, double tap, no mercy, right? We gotta kill. We fight and we kill. And that just, as a privileged liberal who's complicit in genocide, that makes me feel uncomfortable. So I want someone that's gonna make me feel comfortable about genocide. And so that's also what Neofeud 2 struggle is. I want someone who's gonna help me to make me feel comfortable about benefiting from global imperial privilege. Anyway, I'm like totally off. I'm just going full off. Let me look at the chat. How's it going, R. Terrorbird? What is up, Comrade Internet? Sorry, I'm like missing all you guys' chat. I was just like I said, I'm having a weird sleep schedule right now, so I have a hard time controlling going off when that happens. What is up, Coral? Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for the congratulations. Okay. Anyways, what I was trying to get at was that Neofeud. That's one thing that Neofeud 2 is also about, is that it's about like struggles between civilizations of differing types and struggles within civilizations, and the soundtrack's out. And the main thing, of course, obviously, is that Neofeud is out. Neofeud 2 is out. I'm sorry. Before I went on that long digression, it is out, and it is on itch. It will come to Steam in the future, so look out for it on Steam. I can't say exactly when. And I'm supposed to be doing I said I'm going to do Q&A, so I got to look at the chat more. So I looked at it. I didn't see any questions though, so I feel like I'm okay. I'm gonna try to not go too far off into Silverspook high speed jet engine decibel, intense gesticulation. I think I gave that to one of our kids. Gesticulates a lot and does the not quite Italian hands. They're just like Silverspookian hands. This is Italian hands. Silverspookian hands is just kind of like this weird kind of wax on, wax off motions I do. I don't know what it is. And so I try not to go full off and do full Silverspook jet engine decibel high frequency education mode. It's all good. I have informed Ugopnik of Neofeud 2's release. Thanks a lot. Thanks for telling other people to share and stream about Neofeud 2 is greatly appreciated, because it does help. That's really that's part of the promotional stuff. And if other people can do that's also helpful. Hopefully, like if you want a game that like Neofeud 2, like it's definitely a game that's for people that are on the actual left of the spectrum. I would say for sure, it definitely takes anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist stance, like in a hard way from the start. Like it deals with like there's mass, like Black Lives Matter / revolutionary struggles are like central to it. Like there's the biggest scene, like the main scene of Neofeud 2 is like mass. The central first and the most reoccurring area and scene is like where like mass numbers of anti-racist, anti-capitalists, they're like galactic workers of the world. It's a confluence of all these revolutionary groups of various kinds come together, and then there's police, and then there's wealthy elites on the other side, conservative and liberal, like on screen, right? And they're literally pushing their police, calling their police. They're calling Princess Karen. Karen calls the police to smash and crush the attempts to overthrow the oligarchy, to fight and then get more direct fighting, and then the fighting just intensifies, right? So it's I think the closest thing is like maybe like there's a lot of some of the Boots Riley's movies and TV shows, are kind of like that. Although I would say Neofeud 2 maybe even goes further than some of that, because it goes into a lot more of the actual like struggles and problems of the revolution of liberational struggles, and then also on the global scale, right? Now in Neofeud 2, it's a galactic scale. It's a galactic scale world, right? And there's aliens, there's sentient machines and robots. But that's part of the sugar that helps the medicine go down, I would say. I hope that's what it is, because people are, oh my gosh, I love cyberpunk. Why? You got robot arms, you got William Gibson like storylines, you got and writing, you got the flying cars, you got the neon. Oh my gosh, and then there's aliens, there's sentient machines, there's teleportation, there's time travel. I love science fiction. And people are going to come for that, and then the medicine is like, you know what it is. So but it definitely goes to like the mass over policing, the prison industrial complex is still a part of it. Every discussion you have is something directly related to racism, class injustice. Injustice, and there was one of the first characters, the polymimetic gynoid, is just forced to give birth for richer people than her because she has no other possible methods of existence. When she tries to unionize, they tell her, you'll work for $3 an hour or you'll be deported because you were manufactured in a corporation and then you illegally immigrated into Neoliberon City. So you don't count as a citizen. Right, because like everything is something like that, where it's obviously there aren't people that are being created inside of corporate labs other than being dumped out of levitating stratoplexes into New York City and Los Angeles and then forced to give birth. That kind of look a little bit like Handmaid's Tale citizens, and they're called handmaids. It's also a send up of obviously Margaret Thatcher's world, but that's all like. But it's also like part of the like all science fiction, all cyberpunk, and all in like a kind of like Douglas Adamsian way, or maybe Terry Pratchett does more like fantasy focused things. But like everything is like grist for the mill. But like it's also like very pointedly and directly anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist from a native hawaiian indigenous queer perspective, as opposed to. I'm not saying that Douglas Adams or Terry Pratchett weren't saying they were saying a lot of important things, but Neofeud 2 and Neofeud 2 are definitely more targeted and way more pointed, and in specific, explicit calling out of specific individuals, organizations like the Clintons, the Bushes, the Kochs, the Jobs, the United States government, the United States military, and the collective West is directly. That's why I was never going to get Neofeud or Neofeud 2 ever published. I had publishers turn me down for Neofeud 1, multiple. They just demanded like I remove the Epstein syndicate's names. Don't call out anyone too. It's never going to reach a certain level of visibility. It can never reach that level of visibility. Or it's never going to release a level of corporate, capitalist, imperialist supported visibility, right? Certainly not Western capitalist. I don't think any capitalist would support it because it's anti-capitalist, right? But it's also like it's an indictment of like the Clintons themselves. It's an indictment of the Bushes. It's all the families, right? They can be mad about that, but that's a level that like Douglas Adams and Terry Pratchett, or I don't know, any other work maker of anything, they're never going to go. Even Boots Riley is not going to go there, right? Because he likes to go to Academy Award shows, but sometimes he doesn't get let in. I'm just kidding. I shouldn't diss Boots like that. But like you're not going to get invited. I'm never going to get invited to anything because the level of the political directness in Neofeud and Neofeud 2. Some people, are gonna just, be distant. But that's why, like, that's why I'm friends with like revolutionary communist members of Vietnam's whose fathers actually fought empires, like the people that killed Palestinians, right? Like Luna Oi's grandpa, right, who directly fought, right? And Luna Oi voice acts in Neofeud 2, right? Luna Oi is a contributing member to the Neofeud 2 project. literally a member of the Vietnamese, literal Vietnamese communists, right? As opposed to what? American celebrities that have slight progressive stances on Instagram, as opposed to what? You know, people, because when you, cause, and because when you're, when you're selling products to the West, the thing is, a lot of people that are probably going to buy Neofeud, they're going to be proficient in English. They're going to be a lot of Americans and Europeans and Canadians. And like I said previously, I want people to feel uncomfortable playing the game, and they're going to feel weird about it. You're going to feel uncomfortable at parts. You're going to be like, oh, this is a little too close to home. The way the whiteness is discussed, the way imperialism is discussed, the way the Democratic Party is discussed, the way that, all my favorites are discussed, right? I mean, of course, Hillary Clinton is not super popular now, obviously, but like, there's still people that have, right, a lot of hope for what AOC, progressives, the Democrats can do, what like what people that go to No Kings rallies. A lot of people are gonna, some of those people are people who might end up playing Neofeud 2, and like Neofeud 1, right? People that are programmers in the U.S. military. I know for a fact that they have played are or were former soldiers, right? Because a lot of U.S. military is nerds that love cyberpunk and they love science fiction, right? Who do you think does all the software and satellite locational data management to blow up children in Gaza or in Iran? Those are people that are playing cyberpunk games in their off time. They're playing Call of Colonialism, right? And then they're piloting drones and blowing up innocent people for Empire, right? And some of those people play Neofeud 1 and they also play Neofeud 2 when I'm like, trying to move people's, in order to move the needle, people have to feel discomfort, right? And that's part of, like, if you play a Silver Spoon game, that's a big part of what's happening, right? If you just want to play a game and check your brain out, which sometimes I like to do, then you can play Tetris, you can play Call of Duty. I mean, I was like, you can play some platformer, you can play a Metroidvania. There's 65 trillion of them on Steam. You can play some FPS. You can just play some RPG. You can just play some sports game. If you play EA, I don't know if Saudi Arabia is going to be able to host the EA servers much longer if all the infrastructure gets blown up by Iran, along with Stargate. I don't know how. So, but if you could play a game that's not being destroyed by 2,000-year-old civilizations that abolished slavery long before there was in America. And if you just want to check your brain out, yeah. So that's a part of. See, that's why I can't control like how intensely Silver Spook it gets on the stream, and then I also can't control whether or not I'm looking at chat enough. Let me look at chat. The Venn diagram between furries, IT pros, and military personnel is probably a significant one. There's tons of furries. Part of it is with, like, furries and trans people and software engineers and the military, which is hugely technical, right? Apart from like some certain of Marines and Army, but the ones that do all the bombing and the blowing up and the programming and the people on the aircraft carriers, the people that are like giving all GPS data, you have to be computer proficient, and computer proficiency requires vast usage and employment and deployment of computer systems. Vast quantities of people that became proficient at that were bullied by anti-nerd Western culture, which Vivek Ramaswamy, who is a billionaire Indian composer, I'm not a big fan of him, but he correctly pointed it out, and that a lot of people that were bullied for being computer people, right? A lot of them were queer, right? They were in software. You can be a assigned male at birth person that is, a 26-year-old goth chick, or you could be a furry person. Also, you could not be a human. You could be an anthropomorphic squirrel or whatever you want. And so people that are furries and or trans, like, I'm not saying that because you're furry trans that means you're in the U.S. military or you're just a programmer, right? Well, but the people that would tend to have spent vast quantities of time, which is how you become proficient at things, right? Using computers, have an overlap of people that were bullied and or did not fit well in society, and whose lives and identities are geared towards spaces that allow for virtualization and like taking on of other identities, right? And certainly in the 80s, 90s, and noughties, for sure, that was people that computers were a place that you could do that, right? IRC and chat rooms and all in the internet, right? The internet of the Y2K vicinity, circa Y2K, and the 10 years before and after that era. And so the large number of people are very good at and skilled in those areas. And so then they become, technologists, a lot of them are, there's a disproportionate number of trans computer programmers, right? And then if you're and then the military needs people that are proficient in that in order to operate the empire. And so there's people that are obviously deeply conflicted, or they should be conflicted. I hope they become more conflicted when they play Neofeud. That was my goal. I know for a fact that people said, seriously, I had to quit my Amazon job because I played Neofeud and I realized how complicit I was in this mass capitalist oppression and war crimes worldwide. And then I was one of the people that signed. I quit the company along with hundreds or thousands of other people in this one wave because we tried to change something inside. It didn't work. So every time somebody sends me a message like that, I always feel like this time wasn't wasted, because that has happened several times. Or Silverspoon got to quit the U.S. military because, I love cyberpunk, but when I played this cyberpunk game, it made me realize what I am complicit in, which is global death and destruction to benefit as a digital trigger puller for billionaires, and I don't want to do that anymore. So so those people, I'm sure when they play Neofeud, I'm sure they got really uncomfortable. I'm sure it made them really uncomfortable when it came to the parts, right, where the Silicas and the military is just gunning down innocent people. Because in Neofeud, the police, the U.S. Western, it's all Western, right? So all the police are murdering people, innocent people. All the military does is kill innocent people, and just for no real good reason except to make literal techno kings richer. They don't do anything good. And sometimes the U.S. military fights other subsections of the U.S. military in neo-feudal American Civil War balkanization process. But and there's members of the military that are talking about their experiences putting down the global South, right? Like that's what Todd Silica does, right? Todd Silica is like, 2 tours in the second Dresden firebombing. I thought all you EX engines were leveled in the Thermion bombs in the second Dresden firebombing when they leveled the city. I did 2 tours there, and I got my leg shot off by depleted uranium. We killed all the leftists that were trying to stop fascism and imperialism, and but I cooked my motherboard when the bomb went off, and I'm just trying to get some refurb care. I got cybernetic PTSD, and I'm just being discarded on the side, But I'm trying to do my what he's like. Don't even get me started on the military industrial complex. It makes me just want to terminate every last one of those. Happy place. Hey, you stay righteous, my good buddy. Peace and love will win. And these things like the war, what is it good for? Because that's some of the military members, right? Everyone's quitting the U.S. military right now because they don't want to die getting shot down by an Iranian, Russian military, joint military anti-air defense, and then have to be fished out of the desert by, various members of IRGC. They don't want to die inside of, while committing war crimes. They also don't want to die, right? Getting blown up, dying in a U.S. aircraft carrier off the coast of Iran, or I said even 500 or 1,000 miles out into the Indian Ocean. So, but like Neofeud 1 and Neofeud 2 is that's the whole. It's not just kind of like that's mentioned, like that's the whole thing. Or that's not the whole thing, but like that's like central to the entire story. So like the politics is not like, and then sometimes we have a commentary in the background about this important issue, that was trending on Twitter or on Blue Sky or Instagram recently. It's like this whole thing is rotten absolutely to the core. Like it must be resisted. It will be extremely difficult to resist it, but like it must be done. And so I mean, you're not gonna know that when people are not going to know that immediately if they pick up Neofeud, but you will, over time, people may come to realize that. I prefer people don't know that, right? Because then some people, it's kind of like, right, that's some people who might have been able to been moved a little bit to the left. If they go, I'm not going to buy that game, it's too political. There's politics in my video game. people who believe that video games are apolitical, people that believe that there's no politics in video games are kind of silly people. I believe that whether they like it or not, things can happen over the particularly if they like Gibson as cyberpunk. You cannot be that. You have to be at a certain literacy level to be able to even read a William Gibson book to start with, right? To read an actually good cyberpunk book as opposed to just like enjoy neon, to enjoy like neon troglodyte slop. If you want to like look at pictures of cyber chicks, I don't know what they do. I don't know what Cyberpunk 2077. I don't know what the modern cyberpunk games are doing. If you just want to look at some floating fucking cars, right, and like a pink and purple cotton candy Tokyo-esque horizon, that's one thing. But if you know what the original cyberpunk William Gibson and the Pat Cadigans and the original cyber, even like Snow Crash, right, the original cyberpunk authors and some of the post-cyberpunk authors were doing, you have to, it deals with technology, society, politics, human civilization itself in a large way. Semiotics, I mean, like there's a lot of complexity. It's actually really economics. And Gibson's Neuromancer is like, it was like there's a description, like it was like a social Darwinism, it was like a sociology experiment in social Darwinism pushed up to 11, right? It's about hyper Reaganomics, right? It's a projection of like what this economic system and structure would look like, 5, 10, 15 years later, right? That's like core to to me, a lot of what cyberpunk is dealing with. That's what the punk is, to the extent that there is any punk in it. When I interviewed William Gibson himself, that's, and that's part, I've told him like that's part of why I came to cyberpunk, because I was like sick of being an oppressed, ghettoized Hawaiian going to school with six millionaires and billionaires, like literally Pia Omidyar, children, right, and just living in this dystopian cyberpunk hellscape, capitalist hellscape with coconut trees. It's called Hawaii, and like that's literally why I came to it. It's like the weather is very different from a lot of Blade Runner, although Los Angeles is pretty warm, right, and Blade Runner takes place in future Los Angeles, right. And I was like, that's what I liked about it, was all the punk, aspects of it, like which is about resisting corporations and all corporations, corporate greed, racism, sexism, queerphobia, all those oppressive systems. And the other side of that, of course, is the Nazi punks who are told to fuck off. So if you're a fascist or you're a capitalist, you're a it's like there's that whole song, right? The baby I'm an anarchist, that's like about somebody that's a little too democratic to be dating material for the punk for the person that's the speaker in that song. Anyway, so like that, and it's all, the punk is also very incendiary, right? It's very anger, and like righteous anger, not just. There's also fascist anger, right? It's like, right? It's like anger, but vile, disgusting, and cowardly. That's the conservative and the fascist. And then, happy, smiley, cowardice, liberal, and then anger, righteous is the punk actual left side, right? And it's like, and there's always this. That's a big, triangle inside of the United States for sure, and a lot of the West, between like all that energy, right? And so that's like. That's what I was really liked about cyberpunk, and I was like, when I want more of this, and I want it to be in video games, and I don't want it to just be right watered down corporate slop that's ground down, whatever some people were trying to say. There's a lot of cyberpunk that was just sell out corporate crap, for sure, or not really saying much of anything. But I wanted the punk really to be highlighted, and so that's another. So when you come to Silver Spoon games, it's like that's what you're gonna get. If you don't want that, then you fucking play Mario. Go play some Nintendo game before Nintendo takes all their video games and throws it into the AI blender and destroys it all. Anyway, the smart data is not program hardware that is on the receiving end. I'm trying to read the Rid. Coral says, "Rip Todd." Hey Todd. Shout out to Todd. Shout out to Todd Silica. Todd Silica. Sentient Services visitor. Wow, this one really. I went full on Silver Spook Punk mode for some reason. Anyways, if I think too hard about the Democratic Party, it makes me more and more upset. But anyways, or either of the parties, but especially the Democratic Party in Hawaii, and Hillary Clinton, and so anyway. But yeah, Todd Silica is a good guy. Neofeud 2 is out. If you like that, just forget everything I just said. Neofeud 2 is a fun game that has neons, and then people have like augmentations, like and then like there's Keanu Reeves might show up in it. No, Keanu Reeves is a fellow Native Hawaiian like myself that made the catastrophically incorrect decision to play a part in Cyberpunk 2077 of Johnny Silverhand, right? This crass, uncultured mockery of OG Cyberpunk that made 2 billionaires. It took 10 years to complete and exploited its workforces abysmally for 10 years. Literally, people working on the game and couldn't even afford to live in the city that they were working on it. And Keanu Reeves made the catastrophically incorrect decision to work on an anti-punk game rather than Neofeud 2. But it's okay, because Keanu Reeves also he played Neo, and he was in Johnny Mnemonic, so that makes up for it. So I'm just saying, for when Neofeud 3 comes out, Keanu, you better show up in Neofeud 3, because you don't live forever. Nobody lives forever. I don't think you're gonna get uploaded. They're not gonna make any AI to upload you to, because they're gonna have to spend all the AI making shrimp Jesuses and pumping out deep fakes so that nobody can indict the war criminals that run the West and everyone on Epstein list. So they're not gonna have any semiconductors left to put your brain into so that you can live forever. Nobody lives forever. So Keanu Reeves, when Neofeud 3 comes out, you better be in it now. I'm just joking. And obviously I don't know. I haven't actually played Cyberpunk 2077. So I'm not. I've seen a lot of the footage. Like, I love the T poses and the broccoli on the floor though. That was really great. I love it when corporations just like, and the rich like take tons of money based upon early in vast mass quantities of investment on a game that might or might not exist. Kind of like Tesla, just like vast quantities of belief in this idea of a company that may or may not produce a product, that may or may not live up to its promises. Probably not. Anyways, but yeah, I did. If you want to say Holly's sharing, since I brought that up, I did interview William Gibson. Specifically on Cyberpunk. That I haven't brought this one up in a bit, so I might as well throw it out there. I did interview William Gibson about 8 years ago. We did talk about Cyberpunk and like what is Cyberpunk? What does it mean? We talked inside baseball about Johnny Mnemonic as well. Why Johnny Mnemonic is the way that it was. Holly and I actually met. Little Silver Spook behind this Silver Spook inside information. Holly and I actually met at a William Gibson message board meetup. Also, I want to also shout out the William Gibson message board. In particular, Deb Dunaway, because Deb and Scott Smigio, or Migzilla from the William Gibson message board, because they were longtime early supporters of Silver Spook games. Deb also voice acts in Neofeud 1 and 2, and I just went back and visited the original William Gibson message board. Like, all those people there are definitely like, those are like the old school cyberpunks. That's what when I think of cyberpunk, I think of people that like are like kind of socially awkward, highly educated people, in various places in their political journey, but they're definitely very, very literate type people. Like, I remember like feeling very inadequate when I first joined a lot of these other spaces, and I gotta get smarter, because I feel like an idiot around this place. So then, and that's what I think of cyberpunk is like really, really biting satire, like really, really, really biting satire from like highly educated people, right? Sometimes it can get a little bit too much emphasis on the fashion. There's a little too much like hyper focusing on fashion sometimes, but that's just that's how it is. These are Gen X or boomers who hung around Gen X, like William Gibson, right? And they were told that they were doing their bohemian. You're doing your bohemian street punk wrong, and then felt insecure about that. So getting the fashion codes right, but it actually helps. But having interesting descriptions, right, is part of it. But like people that are like really good at that kind of stuff. That's what when I think of cyberpunk. That's what I think of. I don't think of like Blade Runner. Okay, right, but it's like in the neon. That's like that's more like to me. That's kind of 80s. This is like 80s. This is like we're in a honeymoon phase with with these new colored lights that we can stick on the sides of walls, or people started going to Asia and seeing cities, right? That's one thing I find interesting is that in Asia, in a lot of East Asia, or in China, it's like, oh, cyberpunk, you like it, right? Here, look, we have lots of glowing cities. We have all the energy you could possibly want. We're gonna have artificial sun soon. You like that? Here, look at all this cyberpunk we got. And then the West is like, actually, all of cyberpunk was just an anti-Asian Orientalist attempt to subjugate Japan and then keep everyone else down. And the CIA didn't tell anybody. No, we like, but at what cost? Yes, you have all that neon city. You have all that super advanced neon city, high-speed rail, artificial suns. You got robots that are doing the menial labor, the cooking, the cleaning, the gardening, constructing entire massive tier 1 cities and regreening the entire fucking planet, so that you can do creative work and write and do poetry in China. But at what cost? Like utopia at what cost? Cyberpunk was supposed to be one thing bad, right? Neon and flying car is things got bad. Neon and flying cars could bring Asians to LA. Like they weren't there already, right? And we'll have geishas on the side of our building. And that could be like bad. Because what happens if we see Asian faces on us in front of us instead of white faces, right? K-pop Demon Hunters, that's what happened. I don't know what to tell you. All your young NB, all your young femme and NB people that are all watching them Asian faces. But that was the end of the world, right? Because if you're Ridley Scott, I'm just joking. I'm joking. I'm not saying everybody who made Cyberpunk was an Orientalist U.S. Empire agent. I'm just saying like there was a lot of there's some articles about like the problematic aspects of that era. But anyway, long story short, you want to check out the William Gibson interview? There it is, right there. I don't know. Today I'm like so spicy today. I feel like a ghost pepper today for some reason. Have a good one, Aura Terror. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks a lot, Fandom Fellows. I'm like spiraling into every direction simultaneously. It's also almost 2. I gotta go. This is a weird Neofeud release video. I don't know. I also lost my original site. I swear I posted it. There it is. Okay. Anyways, long story short, the main thing is Neofeud 2 is released. I didn't see any questions about the game. So, I mean, people here, I know it's probably like, that's not really a good... A lot of people here already know all the information about Neofeud 2. You know it's going to come to Steam. You've probably been watching the videos already. So, bitch, it's you don't have to do... This is just like the YouTube, because I did like a Twitch release. I was actually a Twitch. Speaking of content creators, there was a Twitch creator called A Bitter Shark. That I was actually watching this. I should have been doing this whole time. I don't know why I didn't do that. But thanks to A Bitter Shark for live streaming on day 1. If you do want to let's play, want to ask people to play or stream Neofeud 2. It is much appreciated, because without that, that's a major way that we get the game discovered. So, if you are somebody who is a streamer or a YouTuber, video essays also are much. I can actually quantify approximately like when certain. I look at the charts. I can actually see when certain YouTubers release a video. So a YouTuber released a video essay about 2 months ago, and then suddenly there was like 100 to 200 Steam wish lists, and then a bunch of purchases like all at once. When Rooster Teeth, Lawrence Sontag, who is currently on Inside Gaming, but was on Rooster Teeth way back, that big YouTube, it's a bigger media channel, I think YouTube channel. When he put out his Neofeud video, there was like thousands of people like suddenly discovered it. A whole bunch of them bought it on sale, wishlisted it. It was like a magnitude. It was like a whole nother scale of visibility went up. So like, if anybody was like, that's really like those are the biggest impacts to be 100. Like journalism is not like necessarily bad, but like getting it. So there wasn't I didn't get written up in like huge websites or anything like that. But like, and no, I mean, if you want to do games journalism, that's fine as well. It's not something wrong with that. Like, we need that too. And I appreciate everybody who did like write up articles about Neofeud 1. But like, yeah, a lot of the visibility comes through various content creators. So thanks to Bittershark for live streaming Neofeud 2 on day 1. And Bittershark is somebody who really gets what Neofeud 2 is about and Neofeud 1 is about. Bittershark, I think, has played Neofeud 1 all the way through multiple times on the stream. Also is I think is a furry or a scaly or whatever. What is the skin of sharks made of? A sandpapery? I don't know. A finny. I don't know. I shouldn't say that though. It's just the avatar is a shark. That's all I know. So thanks to Bittershark for playing through Neofeud and Neofeud 2 live on the stream. If you want to see, this also is helpful because if you want to see Neofeud 2 in game, you can just go straight to this playthrough over here. Yeah, so there you go. Like this is like the touch. I dropped in. I am gonna be probably around. So if you are gonna stream Neofeud 2 to YouTube or Twitch or somewhere, I can probably drop in for some of it. And like you have the developer there for a bit. I know it's only the itch release, but you know. Some people are going to be like, I am going to get that game on day 1 and then play it. Right? So if anybody that's like, I'm going to, like, the itch release is a test to see how big of a Silver Spook fan you are. No. It's a purity test, you know, of your silveriness. Like, if you're not made out of 0.99999 fine silver, you will fail this test. No. But, you know, it's like, it's not a purity test. It's just like people who are like big fans of the game are like going to grab it on, you know, before it comes to Steam. Some people are going to wait till it comes to Steam. Some people are going to wait till it goes on sale. But for those who are going to like, when I released Neofeud 1, I went and like jumped into streams too. Also just to gauge reactions, how people, like whether there was enough signposting for this puzzle, like did this joke land well? Do people like understand? How do people react to this scene, right? Like, so like when Neofeud 1 first came out, I did a whole bunch of that, dropping into people's streams and stuff. So, and also like, you know, as a slight thank you, just you know, it's not like you know, but because it really does help a lot to anybody that's gonna share the game around. It does help us out here. So yeah. Anyway, thanks a lot to Bittershark. That's some of the in game of the Neofeud 2 as well. Hey, what's up, McGlovin? Sorry, thanks a lot to Phantom. I'm not missing some of these chats, but thanks a lot. I don't think Hollywood would have caught it and told me by now if I missed the actual question. Thanks a lot, Phantom Fellows. Thanks a lot, McGlovin, and thanks for your ongoing support. As always, greatly appreciated as well. I wonder if Neofeud 2 ties into Neofeud 1 or if it is set in a completely different planet. Have you started playing Neofeud 2? Neofeud 2 is I don't want to spoiler it too much, but Neofeud 2 is set in the same universe as Neofeud 1. Neofeud 2 is not on the Neofeud 2 doesn't start on the same planet as Neofeud 1. But the world of Neofeud 1 and characters from Neofeud 1 and organizations and entities of Neofeud 1 are interconnected with Neofeud 2. and there's many recurring characters. But I don't want to give too much away, at this point. But like it's not like Neofeud 2 is a completely different. It's not like Neofeud 2 have nothing to do with Neofeud 1, and there's nothing that reoccurs. There's definitely connection between, like, things in Neofeud 1 are explained. 1 second. Things in Neofeud 1, like, for example, who Aleph is, actually, right? I think I talked about, did I talk about that on YouTube last time? Who the masked, ominous, mysterious character with the Hebrew character Aleph looks like the letter N on his face, right? Who never talks, right? You discover who Aleph actually is. You discover why Aleph doesn't talk. You discover things about, like, what the Garden of Forking Paths is, where that comes from. So, like, those, I'm not gonna tell. I'll tell you, like you learn more about that, right? You learn about, like, what happened to, Earth. You learn about what became of the neo-feudal royalty, what became of the people of Earth, and so, like, lots of that stuff happens. So Neofeud 2 technically spans the galaxy. There's not a lot of interest. It's not like Star Wars where people are flying between planets a lot, but it does take place, like, it takes place across centuries, and it takes place across the Milky Way galaxy. It also Neofeud 1 is technically, it's a time travel, and it's also like an omniverse, like metaverse, not the Facebook Mark Zuckerberg garbage, but that's now defunct. But Neofeud takes place, like, inside of that kind of very science fictional world where there are, like, alternate realities. There's time travel. There's already time travel in Neofeud 1, and then Neofeud 2 also has, like, this kind of vaster, like, Star Trek, Star Wars scale backdrop to it. There's not, even if there's not, like, a whole lot of space fights, there is actually a full-on Star War, or there is a Stellar Warriors battle. It's not a Battlestar Galactica, and it's not a Star War. It's not Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia don't show up. There is a character called Fluke Seawalker, but you see, he walks on water. He's not a savior of the world. He swims in water. I take that back. He's Fluke Sea Swimmer. He's Fluke who swims in the sea, but he's called Seawalker. And then there's also Puke Sky Vomiter, who is a avian punk musician who vomits chunks famously all over the entire audience while flying over them. It's like the most intense Guark concert you've ever done, put on by anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist metal furries. Anyways, if that makes any sense, that you might be someone who wants to play Neofeud 2. Okay. Are we following there by Twitch? You're welcome, Alex the Blue. I'll get my copy. So excited. Thanks a lot, McLovin. Use a safe vanilla. There's also safe vanilla, which is safe to use because the FDA and the Sackler family said so, and they own the United States healthcare, American Medical Association, etc. And it's actually, I feel bad because people be like, "Oh, this is just like 2028, 2026." Like, people playing Neofeud and they're like, "This is just like this game was made like 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, but it feels just like the year I'm playing it in." I'm like, I'm sorry that I predict the future. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry I can't predict you a better future. In good news, at least the rich don't live in levitating cities above you. Like, they're still technically, most of the time, they're not in their Gulfstream jets, and they're not, like, Mark Zuckerberg is trying to build, an apocalypse bunker on our stolen native Hawaiian land here, in U.S. occupied Hawaii. But I mean, it's not like he can, like, just float off the planet. So that's less dystopian than Neofeud. Of course, it's safe. I would like to see how you approach background and character art is in. If it is some of the best stuff I have seen in these games. Well, thanks a lot to Gina Ragnos. Uh, sorry, I'm looking at my Twitch stream. My YouTube stream is being weird. Okay, it's already 1 hour 44 minutes in. It's 2 o'clock. I gotta go. Thanks everybody for stopping in. I'm gonna start wrapping it up. So I'm already. I started a bit late. My sleep depth is in high. I'm in high sleep deprivation mode right now. Thanks everybody for stopping in. Don't forget, Neofeud 2 is out. You can grab it on. Sorry, my YouTube live stream is like way off, and I'm like getting distracted because it's like I'm not looking at William Gibson's face anymore. Why is it anyway? Neofeud 2 is out. Grab it on itch.io. I am presently working on the Steam release. I'm working on graphics for the Steam release right now. Neofeud 2 is also a game that supports everything that we do here, like Neofeud 1. You can also get Neofeud 1 on Steam or itch. Neofeud 1 is also there's not a bundle yet, but it's we're not there yet. I just put up the Neofeud 2 soundtrack is also out on itch. Neofeud 2 soundtrack is 33 tracks. Some of them are actually, I was like debating this, but there's tracks from Neofeud 1 that also recur in Neofeud 2. But I was like, I'll just I'll give you all the tracks that, a lot of there's actually, there's a whole lot of tracks that recur. So actually, some of the tracks are actually from Terminus Machina. Anyone who's played my Deus Ex Total Conversion, where a homeless socialist hacktivist revolutionary tries to jailbreak iPhone 9 factory worker slaves while being drone bound by AI automated police and militarized drones in San Francisco. Terminus Machina's music, some of it, including District 10 and a few others, DDoS Cyber War, which is like a hyperkinetic square pusher-esque drum and bass brain dance sort of thing. Some Terminus music actually is in Neofeud 2 as well. And actually, I do some like remixes of some old Cyberspook music. And so you get like I composed at least 16 tracks just for Neofeud 2, and that was like 1 hour 20 minutes of music, plus another like hour of music that I have composed previously that I have reworked and then inserted because it fit properly into Neofeud 2. But it's all my music that's in the Neofeud 2 soundtrack. One other thing I was gonna say is that this is not out yet, but I posted a devlog. One last thing I would drop before I go. Shoot. How do I get to the So I'm trying to find how I can get to the development log from here. Oh, I saw the very bottom maybe. Devlog. There it is. So one other thing is the next Cyberspook projects. I've brought this up on the YouTube channel before. One of them is, of course, a Deus Ex Terminus Machina era game. Might be the next Cyberspook project. Neofeud 3 might be another project. But there's also the Neofeud card game. I don't know if anybody knows about this. I took about a 3 to 4 month hiatus on Neofeud 2 because I was just like, I'm so exhausted. In 2021, about 2 or 3 years in, I made an entire card game, like a collectible card game a la System Crash, which is kind of like Magic the Gathering, in the Adventure Game Studio engine. I just built this entire card game engine on top. I'm like, I don't know why I do these things sometimes, but I made Decolonators, which is a side-scrolling Contra-style shooter where you fight the U.S. Empire as a Vietnamese communist in Adventure Game Studio as well. But this Neofeud card game is another game that I might finalize and finish, and that might be another Cyberspook project. It's a whole like battle card game. And then there's also another sci-fi archaeology game where you play a researcher of one of the ancient alien civilizations. There's like these billion-year-old, super advanced alien civilizations that are basically, they don't have capitalism. They abolished speculative, commodity speculation, like before the supernova that gave birth to the solar system, which humans are from, resides, right? So that it's a weird ancient alien civilization relative to Americans or to Utopians, and so you have to like research them and learn about them while trying not to be a colonial archaeologist, trying not to Indiana Jones too hard on them, trying not to like Laura Croft too hard on them. And so that's like one of our Silver Spook voice actors and Silver Spook friends, Zilla, who makes a lot of good laugh videos on YouTube, might help me with that one. That's one possible project. Anyway, long story short, this one little future Silver Spook news, future project updates for you. Okay, if you want to follow, let me check the chat one more time because I said anybody. Sorry. Okay, sorry, I gotta go find my chat window. Where is it? There it is. Art tutorial. Sorry. Oh, you said I would like to see how you approach background and character art. Yeah, some of the best stuff I've seen in these games. Oh, I have done an art tutorial. I did a few. I did more when I first started dev streaming. I did some like live art when Neofeud 2 was just starting. I did one how I make the portrait expressions. Yeah, we'll see about doing some more of that. I always feel like I don't know if people want to watch this though. I'm like, it's like to me, sometimes I feel like this is probably kind of boring to watch. I'm just like over here. I take a long time to do a lot of that kind of stuff, and I feel like some people might just get bored. Whenever I also did programming. I do like live programming. I've done live programming Neofeud 2 on Twitch, and I'm like, I don't know if people want to watch this. It's not like in the movies, It's not like sitting there and like bobbing your head and like just waving your holographic cool Johnny Mnemonic hand gloves around. It's like hunting down lost semicolons, and I'm like looking at paintbrush strokes, and I'm like, that paintbrush stroke don't look too good, and like that nose is too long, too short, like like the final product, I'm happy with it. It's just like I don't know. I feel like self-conscious about sometimes sharing the process because the process is kind of, it's not. I wouldn't want to sit there and watch me for 2 hours work on one fucking face. Anyways, but I know some people like that, so that's a whole thing. Anyways, I mostly work in low res art. Common Internet says will do. Coral says people be making stuff on AGS. Someone made me a functioning walking simulator. Oh, somebody made you personally a functioning walking simulator. Coral, you have entire teams of people working on alternate engines in AGS for you. Wow. I've seen others do work streams before, but how big of an audience there is for that, I don't know. I like art streams. Actually, was watching the art of Look Outside by Frankie Smile Show. No, I mistyped. Oh, okay. Someone made one. Okay. So someone made one. Okay. Well, yeah. No, people. I seen someone. Somebody who worked on one of the Wadjet Eye folks. James Spanos worked on multiple of their games. Made a high speed like striker. I think it's like a really high speed action platformer game in AGS. I've made a Contra style engine side scrolling platformer. 2 games with it. I made Pigeon with Gun and I made Decolonators, and I also made that card game in AGS. I just when you get good at the engine, and I got good at the engine working on Neofeud, I'm like, I can just make it do whatever I want now. So then I'm just like, I'm gonna make it, AGS is not the most portable engine because it's not easy to release on all kind of systems, but it doesn't support like 3D and advanced effects and things like that. But it's really simple. Like it's really straightforward, and it's like old school. It's like a relic of late 90s, early 2000s computer software. In a lot of positive ways. You know what I mean? It's like Y2K. It's like Millennial Core Y2K shit. That's the AGS. It's also Gen X like it a lot too. Okay. Anyways, time to wrap up. No more. Thanks for all the comments though. I greatly appreciate everybody coming out and hanging out and talking about this Neofeud 2 release. If you would like to help us out, of course, don't forget, grab Neofeud 2, obviously. Grab Neofeud 1. You can also grab Neofeud on Steam. If you can't yet wishlist Neofeud 2 on Steam, but I'm working on what I need to get the Neofeud 2 Steam presence there. But you can't get Neofeud 1 on Steam. Like, get Neofeud 1 on itch or Steam, and then you can prepare for when you play the sequel. I actually one last thing. I was like, oh fuck, I was gonna make a subtitle. I was gonna make like, Neofeud hyphen Neofeud colon, something, right? Tron Ares. That's what popped into my head. Like, this movie, it's not the number. It's like Thor Ragnarok. Or in games, it's like Blackwell Legacy. That's one of the Dave Gilbert's games. But I was like, what is Neofeud? What is Neofeud something? Neofeud. One of the options was Neofeud Revolutionators. That was, there's actually a song. There's like a song that has a bunch of people, including Mexi, is singing in it called Revolutionaries. But I was like, fuck, I forgot that I was gonna change the name. But then I looked it up and I was like, Mortal Kombat 2 is coming out. So I was like, thank you, Mortal Kombat. Thank you, Carl Urban, for giving me faith in my accidental decision to leave Neofeud 2. I mean, to be honest, I'm like, what it's called, people know what Neofeud is. Like, it's always gonna be a slow burn. It's like, what Neofeud 2 is. I think, and I feel like that's a good enough name. Later on, I might be like, what, Neofeud colon, the line cook experience. Neofeud colon, Epstein Syndicate takedown. No, that's probably we're never gonna get discovered that way. Neofeud colon, I mean, it is what it is, but we're not gonna get discovered that way. Neofeud colon, Palace Rampage. Maybe I'll change it one day, but for now it's Neofeud 2. That's just how it is. It's just Neofeud 2. And then, somebody can make when somebody starts making TV tropes, and people get like, there's already a Neofeud TV tropes. When people make the Neofeud 2 TV tropes, and then people can tell the difference, then I'm gonna be okay, fine. I'll make the hyphenated one, so people stop, getting confused on tvtropes.com, which people spend all day on. No. Like, how do I keep my job when I'm fighting AI writing this, critical role competing, right, Vox Machina, a show, Let me look on TV tropes. I'm not saying everyone spends all day on TV tropes, but a lot of writers do go on there. I'll purchase this twice. Secret Love. Hey, what's up, Street Cat Love? Okay. Anyways, so I keep on side missioning myself. I feel like I'm the ghoul in Fallout. Rule number 1 of the Wasteland: thou shalt get repeatedly and continuously sidetracked by bullshit. And that's my entire life. Anyways, certainly while I'm streaming. So grab Neofeud 1. If you have a second to leave even a very short review, don't forget to drop a Neofeud review. Thanks a lot to Sima. I'm not joking. Like, unlike Disco Elysium, the creators thanked Marks and Engels, okay, at the Game Awards of that year. Neofeud explored the depths that makes up our capitalist reality, and Neofeud was found to be a multi-dimensional representation of Marx's Das Kapital. Okay, so Neofeud is not just like, and then sometimes like, unlike Studio Zaum, who just like thanks Marx and Engels and then has some discussion of communism. Neofeud literally is Das Kapital in retro 90s point and click adventure glory. It is like the literal embodiment. Like, there's a beard growing on it. Like, if you look closely at the end on Neofeud, you can see the Mark C and beard. You can see the shape on it. It's like literally, like you can take that to the bank. Okay, if you have a bank account and you're not broke because gas price is $20 a gallon, take that to the. I'm just kidding. Anyways, so if you have a second to leave even a very short review, it does help us to get the game discovered in the Steam algorithm. That's not that someone else said that. I didn't say it was Marx's represent. That's the nice thing about Neofeud is one reviewer said Neofeud, Silver Spoon Games and Neofeud is like if the black historian Gerald Horne, right, the revolutionary black historian Gerald Horne made video games. That's why I gotta always watch Gerald Horne videos. And another person said Neofeud is a doc. So it's Marx Das Kapital times Gerald Horne, okay, with the voice acting of the revolutionary communist descendant of a decorated fighter in the Vietnam anti-imperial struggles, Luna Oi. Okay, so it's so that's all my that's all my left bona fides right there. Gerald Horne, if I'm not living up to your work, please stage an intervention. You don't know who Gerald Horne is. What are you even doing? Okay, Neofeud 2 soundtrack. Okay, don't forget you can also grab Neofeud on itch. Sorry, Neofeud is on itch. You can also grab Pigeon with Gun, Decolonators. Decolonators is a game that I literally made with Luna Oi's book, Historical Materialism, the Vietnamese curriculum that she helped to translate, has a Gerald Horne intro also. Just want to point that out. Decolonators is a game where you fight capitalist colonizers invading your country, not unlike what the U.S. is doing to Iran right now, and then you fight and defeat them in a Contra-style retro arcade game glory. There's also Pigeon with Gun and several other books, including Woman, which is a book by Holly, who was critiquing right-wing Christian culture in this book you can get on itch. You can also get the Neofeud soundtrack and various other writings that I have put out there. You can also follow Silver Spook Games at Blue Sky. Look for Silver Spook on Blue Sky, Mastodon, Facebook, Twitter, all over the Instagrams, etc. Just look for Silver Spook or Silver Spook Games for the games related stuff. And sorry, I'm like lost. I took a nap and now I'm like, what time is it? My brain is like, it's Twitch time. I'm like, no, it's not Twitch time. We're on a different channel. Look at all of these. Thank you to all these Patreon patrons. Without your support, it's hard to keep doing this work. So thank you so much to all these Patreon patrons for your ongoing help. Massively appreciated. Neofeud 2 is technically released. It's not. We're still working, of course. It's future Silver Spook project. So thanks for the ongoing support there. Also, Silver Spook Games. We are. I'm a native Hawaiian, and also a we work at the Silver Spook Cooperative where we do other work other than just games, like, for example, restoring our ecology, ecosystems, and our ahupua'a, indigenous, non-capitalist methods of resource distribution and social economic management and abundance. And so we just went to the trade center. The ahupua'a is it's a $0, it's a de-dollarized $0. No, it's all bringing the food and art and other products and also skills, and then just trading them. It could be described as mass organized mutual aid with multi-millennia old Hawaiian characteristics, maybe. And so that's one thing we're trying to do, on top of also reestablishing our food gardens that were destroyed by U.S. colonialism and for-profit capitalist Ponzi scheme real estate purposes. And so we're also growing as much food as possible here and restoring the land. We were hit by huge, terrible storms, and people have been flooded out in Hawaii. So we also try to do, but some of the resources that we use, we also dedicate to. We're not directly in the harm's path at this moment from the storm, but we are doing our best to support other people in Hawaii that have been displaced by the storms. And so, amongst other things, through various organizations we're connected with. And but of course, finishing Neofeud 2 is now thankfully finished. And so if you want updates on Silver Spook Cooperative, Silver Spook Discord access, and Silver Spook Behind the Scenes, and also Silver Spook University, which is over 1,000 hours of all the content we have produced or categorized by topic, then you can also become Silver Spook Patron, and it is greatly appreciated as well. We've done like so many videos over the years. His Africa, Asia, Native Hawaiian focused, economics focused, artificial intelligence, imperialism focused specific videos. I think I've took down almost every single Hollywood TV show or movie of significance that came out between 2019 and 2023, around there. I was just like, every single week, I was just like Black Liberation Media does discussions that's similar, but I kind of like did a whole bunch of video, basically like live improv video essays on all those topics. And anyways, long story short, that's just another perk you get when you sign up for the Silver Spook Patreon. Anyways. Anyways, thanks again to everybody who has been watching. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who has bought the game, of course. I really, 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 really appreciate that. If you have a ability to, don't forget to subscribe and of course like the stream. I always forget to say that at the start. And I'm just talking faster and faster, and we'll see you next time on the Silver Spook stream. Hopefully when I have more sleep, because I haven't released the game I've been working on for a decade.